For the longest time, artificial general intelligence, AGI, felt like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. But that's all changing. Suddenly, it's a very real conversation happening in boardrooms, in labs, everywhere. And getting ready for it? Well, that's not just for the tech gurus anymore. It's a huge challenge for every single one of us. So, let's just ask the big question right up front. Is AGI really just around the corner? I mean, for decades, it was always this distant, far-off dream. But now, it feels like the ground is shifting right under our feet, and it is happening incredibly fast. Think about it. So many of us have already played with, or are even working with, tools like GPT-4. These kinds of breakthroughs have totally flipped the script. An AI with human-like intelligence doesn't feel like a maybe anymore. It feels like an inevitability, something we have to start talking about, like right now. Okay, so to really get our heads around this massive topic, here's how we're going to break it down. First, we're going to define what AGI even is. Then, we'll look at the two very different futures it could bring, utopia or total disruption. From there, we'll get into the practical stuff, building the right culture, creating a strategic playbook, and finally, figuring out what it really means to be ready for the big breakthrough. All right, let's start at the very beginning. What in the world is AGI? Before we can prepare for it, we all gotta be on the same page about what we're actually talking about. So here it is. AGI isn't the AI we have today that's really, really good at just one thing, like playing chess or writing an email. Nope. AGI is an AI that has broad, human-like cognitive abilities, one that can reason, learn, and adapt across pretty much any problem you can throw at it. It's a whole different ballgame. And that, of course, leads us to the massive question hanging over all of this. Are we building a paradise or a Pandora's box? A utopian dream or a disruptive nightmare? The tricky part is, we have to be ready for either one. And the gap between the best and worst case scenarios, it is just staggering. On the one hand, AGI could unlock a wave of innovation and prosperity we can barely even imagine, a true golden age. But on the other hand, it could cause massive job displacement and create huge risks around safety and control. When the stakes are this high, planning for both extremes isn't just a good idea, it's absolutely essential. You can really feel the sheer optimism in this quote from OpenAI's Sam Altman. He's not just talking about making businesses more efficient, he's talking about a fundamental leap forward for all of humanity. It's a really powerful and honestly exciting vision for what could be. But, and this is a big but, that incredible optimism is balanced by a very heavy dose of caution. We're talking about thousands of experts who have signed public letters urging everyone to slow down and pour more resources into AI safety. The core of their worry is this concept called alignment. Basically, how do we make absolutely sure that an intelligence way, way smarter than us will share our core values and work for our benefits? That right there is the billion-dollar question. So with the stakes being so incredibly high, where do you even start to prepare for something like this? Well, it all begins with culture. You have to build a culture that's resilient enough to handle whatever comes next. The experts are really pointing to three main cultural pillars. It all starts with having a rock-solid AI ethics charter. That's your North Star for making decisions. Then, it's about making sure there's always a human in the loop with clear lines on what an AI can and cannot decide on its own. And finally, you have to build a culture where everyone is always learning. Because let's be honest, the job you have today might look completely different in an AGI-powered world. And here's the real kicker. Any policies you create today can't just be for the AI we have now. They have to be robust enough and flexible enough to still hold true when AI becomes unbelievably more powerful. That's the kind of long-term thinking this demands. Okay, so we've got our cultural foundation. Now, let's get tactical. What are the concrete actions you can actually take right now? It's time to open up the strategic playbook. Maybe the best way to think about this whole thing is to rewind back to the 90s. Remember when the smartest companies started creating these internet strategy teams? Their whole job was to figure out how this newfangled technology was going to change everything. Well, we need that exact same proactive mindset for AGI today. So what does this AGI team actually do? Well, the checklist starts with forming an internal task force to just keep an eye on all the latest research. Then you have to engage with partners in government and academia. But the real nuts and bolts are on the technical side. Investing in AI safety tools, that's non-negotiable. And you have to make sure your data and computing infrastructure are ready for a massive scale-up. For most, that's going to mean building strong cloud partnerships, because the sheer power this transition is going to require will be immense. And I really can't overstate that point about engagement. This is not a problem that one company or even one whole industry can solve on its own. No way. Developing AGI safely is going to require a massive, collaborative effort between industry, academia, and government. Everybody needs a seat at this table. Okay, so let's bring all this home. When that breakthrough finally comes, what does being ready actually look like in the real world? Look, the goal here isn't to try and predict the exact date AGI will show up on our doorstep. Nobody has a crystal ball that good. The real goal is to build organizational resilience. It's about being ethically grounded, super well-informed, and agile enough to adapt, no matter what happens or when it happens. So why does all this work matter so much? Because the organizations that prepare now are the ones who are going to seize the incredible opportunities that AGI will bring instead of being completely caught flat-footed. And even more importantly, they'll be in a position to help steer this powerful technology so that it benefits all of society, all while protecting their own company and their stakeholders. And that's really the bottom line. The whole conversation has fundamentally shifted. The question is no longer if this kind of advanced AI is coming. The question now is how we, as businesses, as a society, and as individuals, are going to choose to meet it when it arrives.